the show.
Hey everybody, I'm Rocket Brown, and it's time to get down. And we're here to talk about E3.
Yup.
Right now we're going to cover the Sony conference, which is probably, it was the best conference.
Yes.
But
to be fair, the rest were uneventful though, and Nintendo technically didn't. What?
Nintendo technically didn't show up for E3.
Didn't have one.
They just did their so I don't know. So really you can't really complain about Nintendo.
We're comparing to EA, who was like Mirror's Edge 2 and Battlefront. Battlefront was cool, don't get me wrong, but they were like Mirror's Edge 2, and then
I didn't care for Mirror's Edge.
You're a
monster. Here's my thing. It was a game about it's third-person Mario.
But it was in first person.
I'm sorry, excuse me. First person Mario.
And it was about jumping on things.
Yeah. And
as soon as Mario throws his little Italian plumber legs into some nice cargo pants, he wraps them around some soldier and breaks their neck, pulls out a shotgun, and then runs up a wall and shoots the face off of the next guard. You let me know when that happens, and I will completely agree with your assessment.
Yoshi's Safari.
Done! Alright, I agree. It happened. I'm over it.
It's a first-person shooter with Mario.
I've been informed. See?
That's a first-person shooter with Mario.
There you go.
I don't know how good it was, but it exists. But I digress.
He's ripping guns out of people's hands with his thighs. It's all good.
I don't know about all that, but I digress. I think the first thing that I got excited about was the indie lineup, just because it looked pretty solid. Because I've seen some indie games on Xbox Live, and I wasn't very interested. So looking at this lineup, I was actually I was very impressed.
Yeah, they showed one indie game, if I recall, at the Microsoft press conference, and it was a cool-looking game.
They did? I thought
scale was ridiculously impressive, but again, it was one game. So.
I thought they weren't supporting indie developers.
Right. And Microsoft. I think they specifically pulled that game out to make us think they were, but the problem is they pulled out one game to make us think they're supporting indie, whereas Sony pulled out like 8 and brought them all on stage at the same time. And
yeah, that was tight.
Section. It was really, really impressive. So
that was the smart move.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite would have to be the spaghetti western one. I forgot what it was called though. But it looked really fun. That and the one
encyclopedia of made up fake words, and they string together sentences with them. If they do that again in 15, so be it. It's still gonna look amazing and play amazing.
Well, I was gonna say so yeah, we're excited for what was it? So the guys who did what's it called? The guys who worked on Bastion, their games looks tight.
Yup.
I still forgot the name. The spaghetti western one indie game. These are the indie games. What else? Yeah, we talked about Final Fantasy 15 looks tight. I'm really glad it's taking the action RPG route.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually as glad as I am about that as well. Like, I do appreciate the whole action RPG thing because I'm just bad at turn-based ones. I'm excited. The guy actually said that they will not necessarily this isn't necessarily a point changing for the entire franchise. Final Fantasy 16 or beyond, or 15-2, who knows what we get, might actually go back to being turn-based, which I think is actually good that they don't have to, like, keep reiterating this and focusing on this. It's just kind of, it might end up being just a one-off. And
I think they should do more of that, though. Only because either that or do like the turn-based style like they had it in 6, where it was real-time turn-based stuff. I don't know if they did that in 7 or not.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not big on Final Fantasy, but yeah, and then there's Watch Dogs, which looks excellent. Probably the most unique.
It still does. I really want to see, because they so they showed the tablet. Did you see that? Someone was using the tablet to play Watch Dogs, using a PlayStation controller still, but then pulling up things on a tablet. So I want to know, are we actually going to get the screen that the man looks at on his phone? Are we going to get to use that screen physically in
that's an interesting
life? Or is it just going to be like, click this, click
theory.
this, click this? Because like if it's represented, like, that would just be so cool to hold up this thing and, like, control traffic lights and everything, and then pick up the controller. Because the controller would be...
I think that would be a smart thing to do.
It'd be amazing, I think, because the controller would be access to your character. So, you know, when you're holding that, you know you're in control of the guy. But when you're controlling the city, you're on the tablet. Like, I think by separating those experiences, it would actually involve me, at least, more in the game. So I think that'd be a cool idea. And I know they're doing something with it. I just don't know to what point it extends.
What else did they do? Assassin's Creed or something?
Assassin's Creed, yeah, here's what's really weird about that. Their trailer that they had during the PlayStation 4 conference was way cooler than the one that they had at the Ubisoft conference. You would think Ubisoft would keep the best trailer for themselves, but it wasn't until Sony's that we got to see the seamless in-game transition from him fighting people to running around the dock to literally jumping on the boat and taking off. No load times, no, like, switching of any user interface, nothing. Just all seamless transition to gameplay. So that was...
Well, I was actually going to say, I think there were a few moments where the video started, like, freezing. I don't know if that was...
It did. He was already on the boat, though. I forgave that.
All right. But I don't know. That's
well, I mean, it was primarily freezing in cutscenes, too. So, I mean, we're just talking, like, rendering things properly on a system that they've had maybe a year with, maybe, at most.
No, that's a good point.
I think they'll get it. I think they'll get the kinks worked out.
Okay.
But just the gameplay transitions, like I said, when he went from being sneaky to fighting guards to running across the pier to jumping on the boat, and there was no load, there was no that
just all happened,
all worked, and it
just
looked,
like that.
And it looked all optional, and that's to have naval combat as an option. It's like, we have this entire really complex, ridiculous weapon damage modeling system.
It's a game about pirates. I was going to say it's a game about pirates. You got to have naval combat. But
true, and I mean they introduced it in 3, so it made sense.
Okay, I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game yet, but that one actually...
Yeah, naval combat showed up in 3 first.
Okay.
So, all right. But it was very segmented. It wasn't as free-roaming as 4 looked, so that's really cool.
Okay. I don't think I don't know what else to say about Sony, only because, like I said, I'm not big on Sony, but I still remember the cheering.
The cheering, literally the loudest I had ever heard at any E3, and I've been watching them for at least 6-7 years now. Oh, and I mean, we're talking. What's up?
What about you think it was louder than Twilight Princess?
Yes. Absolutely.
That hurt my ears.
They weren't cheering like Nintendo. Like, that's the thing. This crossed beyond just being about like the game itself. When Sony started announcing,
they weren't even for all gamers.
Right. That's how people like freaked out, and it just became this like, okay, not only do we as gamers have consensus, but now we have this CEO who we'll see how much of this actually gets represented on their platform. Like, nothing was set in stone, obviously. But to have this general consensus among gamers that everything that the Xbox One is standing for, as far as all this required DRM nonsense, checking in every 24 hours, the disc only exists so you can install it on your Xbox, and that disc is worthless. That kind of stuff. I mean, like, those things. We were, as the vast gaming community, I'm going to use a lot of like overarching terms here. They were obviously upset about it, and we were like, "Oh crap! If Sony goes this way too, we really won't have any options." And PC people
are screwed.
Yeah, and PC people will be like, "Well, you can always get a PC." But I mean, if you look at the truth of the matter, all Xbox One is doing is what PC has already done. I mean,
here's
you buy a disc,
Microsoft already
get that code. You put that code in the computer, that disc is useless. That's already how the PC market is. So for PC to try and be like, we're so superior, we're the quote-unquote master race.
But that's my same point. The point I want to make is that Microsoft is already a big part of the PC market. So why not just focus on making a better game-oriented PC instead of making a television-oriented game console? You get what I'm saying? Because the Xbox One, I would rather it just be a better gaming computer.
Well, I completely can understand Microsoft's business choice to switch the main focus of the Xbox over to the TV. And I'll actually do this in real time right now. I'm going to check my friends list, and we're going to go down, and we're going to see how many people are playing video games and how many people are watching some sort of TV. So I've got 10 friends.
I don't have a problem with being able to watch television on the Xbox. I have a problem with that. It's not focused on being a game.
Right, you have a problem with it being their focus. That's my entire point right here. So all right.
But here's my thing. But you can't. It's supposed to be an all-in-one. What's it called? Entertainment device. But it can't be that way if you're going to regulate one part of my entertainment and while you allow like the television part to be just fine. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the television part's regulated by like Comcast and Time Warner and whoever, DirecTV, whoever your cable company is. I mean, that's not going to open up and be any more free than the video games are.
I know, but that it's just because, I mean, the fact of the matter is it's a game console, and the fact that you're putting so many regulations and so many restrictions on how I can enjoy my video games, it's not really... Yeah.
What's interesting is I actually don't think, because this is how I felt about the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. I thought it was pretty much awful because it was like $300 more expensive and all this, kind of stuff.
I don't remember how expensive it was.
It was $700 when it first came out.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And so, I mean, when it first came out, it had Blu-ray, and that was really it. That was the selling point, was it had Blu-ray. And so people who wanted a Blu-ray,
right.
But this was at the time when Blu-ray players were like $1,000. So a $700 Blu-ray player was actually a decent deal. So, I mean, if you wanted a Blu-ray player,
that sounds,
go ahead and pick one
understandable.
up. But my thing was this, people would be like, okay, so what's the difference, blah, blah, blah. I said, once you're actually in there playing the game, the differences will pretty much disappear. And I hold that to be true even for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. As far as like it changing the game experience, I don't see that happening. If you're going to play Watch Dogs on Xbox One and you're going to play it on PlayStation 4, you're not going to not be able to relate to the guy that played it on Xbox One. Like, his actual game experience will be the same.
Well, it's not even just that. Like, the stuff about... I think I'm mainly concerned about the stuff about how you have to pay to, like in order to borrow games, you have to pay to, like, share games and stuff.
Right.
And things like of that matter. Like, right. I think that's the kind of stuff that I was worried about.
Right. Yeah, all that stuff comes from, like, an infrastructure point of view. That stuff is bad.
Yeah.
Terrible! But Sony didn't do any of that. And when they announced that they didn't do any of that, they got the loudest applause I've ever heard, ever, from E3. And people were actually chanting Sony. Like, it extended beyond the PlayStation, and people were actually chanting just Sony. I mean, especially in corporate America after the quote-unquote recession, all the terrible, like, corporate entities stealing billions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. When's the last time you heard anyone have anything positive to say about a corporate entity, let alone a borderline, like, riotous applause and chanting of a corporation's name? Not even an American corporation. So
no, not even Nintendo. I don't think. I've heard Smash Brothers, but
yeah,
never Nintendo.
Definitely. But I mean, yeah, I never heard Microsoft. Like, no, come on, it's just not going to happen. Like, even at the height of the Xbox's superiority, it wasn't going to happen. But but I mean, Sony got it because Sony really identified, and the timing was just perfect. Like, if E3 was held like 2 or 3 months from now, as people had more time to digest and get over the Xbox One's DRM thing, it probably we wouldn't even see the result. But I mean, the timing, having just exactly 4 weeks out from Microsoft going, hey, we hate you, gamers. And gamers like, does anyone love us? And then Sony's like, we love you. And everyone's like, yay, Sony. Like, having all of it just kind of snowball.
They
like,
basically
really
just established, hey, we're just like Xbox One, except we actually care about games.
We're doing that. Like, I mean, it's funny, and again, and this point has been pointed out a lot from what I've seen online. People are like, people, naysayers, if you want to call them that, haters, if you want to be like that, however you want to call them. People are going, Sony didn't really do anything at their press conference. Their biggest applause was when they said what they weren't going to do. And is it really fair to applaud them for not being stupid. You know? It's like, if you see a guy not cross the street on a red and cause a car accident, do you walk up to that guy and be like, here's $100, sir, 'cause you're a genius.
You, sir, deserve a promotion.
Here's $400 because you're not stupid. You know? Like, do they really earn that? So,
I don't know. In this day and age, man.
not being stupid is worthy of all its own praise.
If you are of above average intelligence, you are Christ, man.
If you are average, as long as you don't drop below that line, like.
But no, I get what you're saying. Actually, I want to just point out some stuff. Like, people are saying, oh, if Microsoft keeps this up, they're gonna end up like Sega. Do you see that at all happening?
Yeah. Totally. With the Xbox division, the thing that I think the line that people are kind of blurring is that Microsoft is Xbox, and Microsoft existed long before Xbox, and it will exist long after it. So, but could the Xbox division get dropped out? Yeah, I don't see that as being impossible.
Okay.
The other thing I would say this is far more likely, and it'll all come down to sales. I mean, you have to look at the fact right now on Amazon UK, the last numbers I saw were that the Xbox One is outselling in terms of pre-orders the PlayStation 4 by like 2.4%. Not a huge margin at all, a tiny margin, and yet look how as gamers within the community, right? It's a ridiculous notion to even want an Xbox One. It's just stupid. So you would think that number would be like a landslide for Sony, and even if Sony was beating them by 2.4%, I think I at least would expect it to be so much more than that. So how much this will end up really hurting Microsoft in the end, we'll have to see. I mean, if you really look at it, Sony really was in the same position. I think Sony right now is better than Microsoft was.
I think but I think Xbox One was in a worse position than the PS3 was. Don't you think?
Yes, and I would agree with that. Not a whole lot worse, but definitely worse. And,
well, no, because at least,
dude, it was $7.
No, okay, no, $100. I agree. That is bullshit. I'm just saying. But it was still a game console.